how to really cancel the cancel.
Like if somebody requests to cancel their membership?
Yeah, we have so many like you. I'm driving. As soon as I get home, I'm gonna get on camera.
You're
We
all
have
good.
so many like you competition in the area, and from the cancellation request is financial, it's injury, it's no time to attend. Well, we open at 5 in the morning, we close at 8 at night. It's lots of excuses. So a way to maybe save a cancel, not just by downgrading their membership, but just like there must be ways out there that, and I'm glad for the call that we can all talk and see what we can share with each other to help people not to leave us.
Is there anyone that has a good strategy? Like let's say someone rolls in, like let's say you're there coaching and stuff, and they're like, hey, I got to cancel. It's no time to attend, whatever the excuse is. Does anyone have a good way that they combat it, or they what you do, or that you've been able to find that you save somebody?
I think the
A
biggest
lot
thing,
of the
go ahead.
Either of you, we can both go, whatever.
You go first.
okay. A lot of the times, like I've noticed, I don't know if this is all coaches or not, but like I've noticed a lot of our SAs just like don't ask the questions. And so when I'm standing in the lobby, I'm the one to just jump in and be like, well, why? Like, why are we leaving? And they say, oh, well, I like Pilates better. Oh, well, what about Pilates do you like? You just have to like, I've found that I've saved a couple of people, not a handful, like, but just like wanting to know why and just like not being afraid to ask why and always like continue asking the questions. And I build on the relationship that I've already built with that specific member in class. I mean, I coach like 20 classes a week, so I'm there every day so I can make the relationship and continue to ask questions and ask them what they like about Orange Theory and what they like about the other places. And that's like one of the things that I've done.
Cool. No, like it. Who else was gonna go with that too? To think.
As Coach Joe. Um, so I've been lucky enough to transition from being a coach to now being a studio manager of both studios here, as well as coach. And I have found that now that I'm on this side of the glass more often, I think it's all about, I guess, the build up to the cancellation. I think we're missing the mark on actually connecting with our members and reaching out to them before they cancel, finding out why they're not coming in, reaching out to them while they're on freeze, asking how they're doing. This is something that we've seen, that we've noticed that a lot of our cancels over the past, like 3 to 4 months, were all people who were within the first 90 days of their membership. Huge part of them. And I think it's those people that we're just not reaching out to. They're coming for their intro, they're coming for their first week, and then they just fall off. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, they're putting in a cancellation request, and there's really nothing that we can come to bat with because they haven't come in. And so I think it's really important to have your managers, to have your SAs pull those low utilization reports, and we just start contacting them every 2 weeks, asking how they're doing, reminding them, for the ACSM recommendations, telling them that we miss them, making it personal, reaching out to people who are on freeze, letting them know that we miss them, making those connections so that we're getting them bought into the community and we're able to catch them before they actually put in the cancel. So we don't even see the cancel because they're part of our family.
No, I was gonna say I do think that, and I think Julie, were you gonna say something too? One sec.
Yeah,
I think that that's true that finding some way that you can be more on the offensive instead of the defensive side. Because I feel like pretty much once they come in with the paperwork, and props to you, Britt, for being able to save a handful of them, because that takes a lot of effort once they've already gotten up I feel like it's got to take a lot of courage for them to come in and cancel on their family. Because I'm sure a lot of you are doing a really good job at like building a relationship with them. And so I'm sure it takes a lot of, it's probably very hard for that member to come in and be like, actually, I want to step away, whether they're going to give you the real reason or not. And so, like Joe said, as preventative as you can become. And then, Julie, you want to go?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so we do a lot of the offensive stuff. We're really utilizing Portal with the low usage. We're running our own lists where we have our own freeze list where we reach out constantly, set a follow-up set. I think our problem with the being on the offensive and making all of those calls and texts and everything is getting them to actually respond or answer the phone. So while we're putting ourselves on the offensive, we're not getting much back. Yeah, when they're in front of you, like Britt, you know, asking the questions and doing everything you can when they're face to face, because it's a lot harder to cancel when you're looking somebody in the eye as opposed to being on a call or on a text. But I guess what we're struggling with and why with our low usage is actually getting them on the phone and actually getting to get them to respond to a text. So I don't know if you guys have maybe a really creative text that gets them to respond or a message that you're leaving that, you know.
Julie, are you the one sending out the text message?
I do a lot of the calls and the text. Yeah. I mean, I have a senior person here too, but
I mean, the thing that I've noticed is if I put general manager Joe, I don't get response back. But if I put coach, I get a response back. I mean, it works. So I always put coach Joe instead of manager Joe. Sometimes our head coach, Michelle, will also send out text messages. If it comes from a coach for some reason, they're more likely to respond because it's the coach checking in on them and just not some sales associate or some manager.
that's a good point because actually that's how we got our show rate to increase is by having the coach be the one to call for the confirm the night before, and that really increased our show rate. So that's a really good point.
Aaron, I see your hand. Hang tight one sec. So Julie, on I think too, I bet when you're sending out the messages, how it says, how you were saying, like, I don't feel like, or they're not responding, they're not sending something back, they're not doing anything. I bet they're still reading it, and I bet it's still making an impact. I think you don't want to discount the fact that you're putting out a really positive message, or you're saying, like, we miss you, we want to see you more, whether they respond or not, because I think life's kind of hard right now for a lot of people. And so
Sure.
whether or not they want to put themselves in the place to respond, because maybe they feel like if they respond, like, oh, they're going to try to convince me to come back. I'm just not ready to come back right now. But when you send this like loving, encouraging message of like, hey, we miss you. We hope to see you soon. Want us to help you book classes. And then you like another 2 weeks go by and you send another one. Even if they're not responding, I don't think it falls on deaf ears. I think they're reading it. And I
I
wouldn't
hope so.
underestimate the power of still doing it because I
Oh
feel
yeah, we
like
still do it.
yeah, I would still, I wouldn't get discouraged on it at all. Aaron, do you want to go?
Yeah, slightly aside from the how to get them to respond to texts, and back to the more just keeping them from canceling in the first place. I noticed that with a lot of my members who come to me discussing either injuries or that they want to go to Pilates or whatever, sitting down and discussing with them, what are you not getting out of class right now that I can help you get out of class? Or for certain level of injuries, letting them know, hey, if you've got a bad knee, we can work together and totally rewrite the floor program to make it accessible to you. Oftentimes I find that those who cancel are in those instances are the ones who don't talk to me about what they need to be getting or what they're looking to be getting. And so digging in with them more one-on-one, why are we not what you're looking for? Or how can we address what we do here to make it more available and accessible to your injury or whatever you've got coming up?
Oh, someone else, Brandon, sorry, Brandon. Brandon, you want to go?
Yeah, to kind of go off of Aaron about the current members, I kind of had this realization with our SMs here about we're constantly chasing after the members that are falling off, that are canceling, terminating, that like, yes, of course, we try to focus on our current member base, but what I'm getting to realize is that we are certified personal trainers, but yet we don't necessarily have a system in place to where all of our coaches can consistently interact with the members of like, put yourself in a personal training shoes, as simple as pre-booking. Obviously, we could ask members to pre-book. We ask them, hey, are you coming in on Wednesday? Versus when a member leaves our class, we ask them like, if it was a personal training client, I'd be like, okay, I'll see you on Friday at 5 a.m. And they're like, got it, cool. So I guess to go off of what Aaron was saying and like what I'm trying to get towards or ask y'all is there a system in place that you guys have readily available or something that you guys have been working on where you allow all your coaches to interact consistently with the member base, like outside of like social media, like not social media related, not just like text message, like an actual system in place. Like I like spreadsheets and Google Sheets. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like something that's really in place to target the members that are actually in our classes in our studio and really hyper focusing on that. And one other thing I know, Orange Theory sends out a weekly bulletin, but like I don't believe there's like a weekly type bulletin going to members on a week to week basis on like, hey, here's some things that you should be looking for this week in class, like some insight that might be personalized towards a studio. I don't know if anyone has that as well. So
I think the only I'll let other people go, but I think with the email thing, I want to say there's some regulation with how much you can mass send out email to a big group of people that like isn't there something with like there's something that's like with text messages with emails, there's only so much you can do. So I think it's like if you do too much of it, you can be breaking the law and they could sue you technically. So I think that might be the reason there's not like a more consistent email going out. But anyone else go though, sorry, on what Brandon said.
I think there used to be studios used to send out monthly emails. Like this is like 9 years ago. We used to do through Canva a monthly email. And we've talked about doing that in our studios. We actually are one of the studios that are using Kind Catch, if you guys have heard of that. And we're trying to use that. It's a video text basically that members get. And trying to use that to be kind of an update to what's going on for that month. So sending people a video and we can actually see how many people are watching it and how much usage it's getting. So what the response rate is, which is kind of cool. Have not tried the monthly one yet, but we're doing this with our intros and missed guests. And we're still about a month into this. So I can report back on usage. I don't know if anyone else on here is using Kind Catch, but there's been some really good use. And yes, there's an extra cost. It's not very much though, in comparison. It's a great way to market. You basically send a video link to your potential member, your current members. You can send a mass text link to folks, and it's a video of one of your coaches or your studio manager or your sales associates. So it's a kind of cool way to do marketing. Leaning into the personal trainer thing, Brennan, I think one of the challenges we're having, and I've seen it in the chats, is pay. So in California, time work is time paid. And so getting people to just give a shit enough to just want to reach out to people that they are training every day is really tough, because we have I'd say 25% of our coaches would do it just because they love it. And the other 75% are like, yeah, I'm not getting paid for it, so it's not worth my time. So, it's I do like the idea of leaning into the personal trainer concept and kind of going back to what who was saying about, what can we do to make this workout work for you, because it should work for you no matter what. So
Linda, you want to go?
Sure. Yes, on the email, it's in the chat. It still exists. It is a monthly email that goes out. There are regulations, David, you're right, around texting and email as far as how much we can hit them up. What we've been doing in terms of the personal trainer piece, it's missing. And that is one of the things that people are really looking at, is that for that personalized experience. So really kind of diving in when we're doing coaching evals and pushing coaches to do that while they're coaching, like have those individual one-off conversations. When it's a rep range day, take advantage of it. How many reps are you getting? How many can you get? What are you looking for today? All of those kind of things, and layering on, and then offering those opportunities after class. Like if they have additional orthopedic concerns, keeping them in that little 10, 15-minute window between classes if we need to kind of dive in a little bit deeper. but pushing the personalized prescription, trying to do that with current members as well as new ones. So kind of reevaluating those people that are 5-year, 6-year, 9-year members in the studio that I coach in, kind of reevaluate them and see where they're at and see where we can push them. But really digging in on that personalized training side. One thing that we have is we have coaches who have never personal trained outside of Orange Theory. So now we're working at teaching those components by really breaking down Strength 50 and talking about why we're doing things, why it's programmed the way it is, and how it works, so that when they go to coach, they have that knowledge in their back pocket and they can apply it a little bit better.
Yeah, Frank, I'll have you go in just a sec. One thing that I just thought of that I don't know if any of you guys do, or I guess your coaches would have to like care enough to do this. Something that we started like 6 or 7 months ago ish, maybe it was like the beginning of the year. Every coach that we have with every block of classes they coach, like every individual class they coach, they have to select one member who was in that class to then after class, before they leave, go to the computer at the front desk, use our texting, Ring Central, whatever, and send them a personalized text about praising them for something in the class. So it would be like, let's say I teach 3 classes in a row. I have the responsibility to text 3 people. We ran the numbers on the time and it literally takes 3 or 4 minutes. It's not a huge investment of time, but it's about remembering it and consistency. And we, at the beginning, had like a little sheet of paper that like a little laminated sheet that dry erase markers could go on, that we would like write the name of the person that we were going to text so that other coaches could see who we were texting, kind of that had different blocks. But it would be a very simple, and we never then, so I would go to the front desk after my block. Let's say Stacy crushed it. She picked up a 60-pound dumbbell for the first time. I would be like, oh, hey, Stacy, what's up? Loved having you at the 7 a.m. class. So awesome that you used a 60-pound dumbbell for the first time. Way to go. Hope to see you in class tomorrow. Whatever. Or maybe I look at when she's pre-booked. I'll see you on Tuesday. Coach David. And then I leave. I don't sit and wait for her to respond. I bounce. I'm done. I sent my text messages. And then what we found, because the front desk will then communicate to us, oh, hey, Stacy shot a text back. She said it meant so much to her that you sent the message or whatever. And then they would just pretend that they're us if they're at the desk. They'd be like, oh, yeah, thanks so much. Or like, yeah, you're welcome. No problem. See you in class. But we found, because we were a year or so ago, our attrition was horrible. Like it was quite high. We were not doing great. And we went from like, I think we were around like the 7-ish% of attrition. And our goal was like, we just want to get under 5. And we've been able to consistently stay right around 4%. Not saying that it like that solved it all, but I really think when we're seeing these member responses coming back of like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That meant so much. That made my day, whatever it is. I think those little bits of like them feeling like they were seen, even though you maybe didn't get the opportunity to tell them directly in class. If that's easy for you to implement, it's made a big difference for us. All right, go Frank, and then Adriana, you can go next.
What's going on, world? In the grand scheme of all this, I want you to remember this saying. It's the cancellation process should be simple. The decision to cancel should be difficult. So if we focus, again, on that decision, that's something that we can control. When we dial back, look at those cancellations, really what the issue is, that's really what's going to make the difference in that business. So the decision should always be difficult. So we want to look at how we can just control that decision the most. Julie, I'm going to say old school mail. You'll be surprised how many people don't send out mail anymore. When we first started this thing, yeah, like we were sending out the birthday cards, the milestone cards, like go old school. But again, 100%, I agree with David. Do your due diligence. They're reading the messages, whether they respond or not, because we're probably all guilty of it too. Reading the text and not responding. So we know what's going on. Any expense that is going to cost the studio, Becky, I'm not sure what that monthly is. Present it to ownership as a business expense. Just again, you are a business inside of a business. So I am Frank the Tank inside of Orange Theory. Outside, I'm just Frank. But when I'm in that studio, like it's game time. Like I know what I'm there to do and I know why people are coming to see me. But I want to teach that to the rest of the staff as well to, again, be a business inside of the business. And if you were losing people inside of your business, how would you keep them? How would you bring people more in? what are the connections you can make in the class? So I love the texting one after, and I just challenge them to do that in class as well. So if they made that connection with someone in class, that's one person that can be continuously adding on to them. So overall, great stuff so far, guys. And I really appreciate you guys all getting on and contributing.
Thanks, Frank. Adriana, do you want to go?
Hey guys, I've been at my studio for 6 years. I started as an SA, worked my way up to a manager, and then got put into the head coach and studio manager role. Over the past year and a half, we've been able to maintain our attrition under a 4%, even as low as like a 1%. And we're a small studio. I tell my coaches, and so being a small studio, we're also 2G only, right? I get it, 3Gs, man. I could not imagine how difficult that is sometimes, except for some of you experienced coaches. But I tell my coaches it's all about being personable. I wrote in the chat, it's harder to cancel friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 100%, there's going to be, times where things just change for a member. But, I tell my members, if you're not saying hello to everyone or recognizing everyone in your class, like that's on you. Our coaches get paid off of how many people are in class, right? So it's like the more people they have in class, the higher they get. The last evaluation that I did on all of my coaches was tallying how many times they said people's names in class. So I had the sign-in sheet with me. Not only did I mark it down from when they were on the treads, but also the floor, right? Because sometimes it is harder to go and make those one-on-one connections. But a perfect example, I think it was Tuesday, I did my coach and it was a strength block. And so, right, we're focusing on that tempo. And I saw some people that had some really good tempo. And so I told her, hey, over the mic, when you're running around, you don't have that time, recognize that, right? Shout that out over the mic. And then other people are like, oh crap, like I want that too. But I think it is about making everyone feel seen and heard. A couple of the quotes that I have seen that I really like that I try to implement with my coaches is the workout is simple. It's the experience that you create that makes the workout extraordinary, right? And I don't want to put this all on us, but at the end of the day, just like Joe said, the members care about the coaches more. And I saw that from when I was an SA, and I'm seeing that now. And, I do have some really good front desk people, but at the end of the day, my members do care about the coaches. But just remember, it's all about your connection and the energy that you create. It's a tough job being a coach and giving it your all every day, but it's us that make people feel seen and make people feel heard and make them want to keep coming back for you. So
No,
thanks, guys.
that.
Keep it up.
That's awesome. Sandra, do you want to go?
Yeah, real quick. I agree with what everybody said. And I made a note of, David, what you said, the coach is texting one person per class. Just one more potential takeaway if anybody wants it. We recently had our coaches text anybody that late canceled for their class because late cancels, if they're doing it repeatedly, turn into cancellations. So just like David does, before they leave, they come and they check the desk and they just say, hey, this is Coach Sandra. I missed you in class today. I hope everything's okay. Or I hope to see you on Thursday or whatever. And sometimes they respond and sometimes they don't. And like you said, the coach doesn't need to wait for them to respond. I've got somebody at the desk who can respond, but I do think that it does not go unnoticed and that they feel like the coach noticed I wasn't there. And I just think that it can make a difference in the long run.
No,
Someone asked earlier how personal we get with our text messages. I just put one that I sent out in the chat just to kind of show you guys what we've been doing and what has been showing a lot of responses back, just so if you guys wanted to see what that looked like.
I will say too, with some of you that maybe the coaches right now, they're not, say, texting members after class. It wasn't a perfect and seamless transition when we introduced this to our coaching team. So we're part of a smaller franchise group. It's a husband and wife. We have 6 studios. And so there's about 35 of us coaches on our immediate team. And when we rolled out this concept of let's try texting members after class that are in there, whether they're late canceling, like you said, Sandra, or just a member that did well in class. And initially we had quite a bit of pushback because it was just it's just one more thing. I got to now remember to text someone after, and I got to be accountable to it, and I got to whatever. So there was a little bit of growing pain with it, but we kept pushing it because we thought it was going to make an impact. And what we would do too is we'd lean a lot on the front desk for this, but we would ask the front desk to because the coach then leaves. They send out the message into the abyss and they hope that the member gets it. And 10% of the time or whatever, 50% of the time, the member's going to give a response back. But that coach may never know what that was. And so we've been having the front desk, if they get a really good response that was more than like, thanks, if it was like a, hey, you made my day, thank you so much, that meant so much to me that you reached out, they will screenshot that message or take a picture of it. And then I don't know what you guys use. We use GroupMe, that we have like our feed of this is this studio, this is this studio. And then the front desk person would then take that screenshot, send it in there, and then shout out the coach, be like, oh my gosh, Camille, thank you so much for sending out that text to Stacy. Look at this response she gave. And then it gives them some validation of like, whoa, you know what? Like it's making an impact. Instead of just feeling like, all right, I'm spending minutes after every class sending out these messages, but I have no clue if they're actually doing anything. I think being able to help everybody get involved and seeing if there's actually like a response and there's some like benefit behind it, I think it can go a long way in getting some buy-in from your team, because now it's like we have everyone on board and it's not even like a question. Everyone's doing it. It's just that this is part of our routine. We all send text messages. It wasn't a perfect like start. So I think it takes some getting some buy-in from the team. What else did you guys have? Do we want to stay on this cancellation topic, or does anyone have anything else they want to bring up?
I just have a question for the group. We have two studios that are really close together. I mean, if we combine them, it'd be a great single studio.
I hear you.
Which we've thought about doing because they're literally about 5 miles apart from one another. But we have one of the studios has definitely shifted demographic wise to an older population. We've had cancels because everyone's going to the healthcare shenanigans. So dealing with that, but the attrition's like 1%. I mean, it's crazy, crazy low, and it has been for years. And then the other studio is growing. It's definitely a much younger demographic. The challenge we're seeing is leads. We'll get like maybe 5 intros in a month. Leads, maybe we're getting 15. So is anyone else struggling with finding leads? And do you have anything that you've tried?
Someone share their ways. Who has the magic
formula?
Someone's got to have it. We got 60 of us on here. Who has it?
So I've seen the best, and granted, this was when an old ownership where we were just owned by 3 studios. We were given a monthly budget to get a refer and receive gift. And it was like, sometimes for me, our greatest leads are from our members. I remember it was the summer that I first started. I was still working at Dick's Sporting Goods. Guess what was under $200? A kayak. Like, doing raffles and stuff like that to buy back into it. It's definitely an incentive. So I always found that worked out the best, but 100% I feel you now, because I'm not allowed to do stuff like that. And I wish we could.
We did. One of the studios I coached, I think I saw this somewhere on Facebook, but they did a buddy pass for Hell Week. I just saw someone, bringing your friends in for your birthdays and milestones was great. So they did a buddy pass for, 4 classes. I think it was like $28 or whatever. But I think, coming up on 12 days of fitness, we saw this too late and then we're like, shit. But I think 12 days of fitness, give your friend the gift of fitness for $28. They can come in for 4 classes or whatever. So, but yeah, I like that. I love the kayak idea.
We're going to do that also.
Who's going?
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No,
we're going to do that also with the 12 days of fitness. But what we've been doing for events, recently, we just joined the local Chamber of Commerce, and we're piggybacking on all of their events. So yesterday, our studio manager and one of the coaches went to an event at a park. I mean, and yeah, it was hot outside, but they had a tent. They came back with 27 leads. Now, of the 27 leads, let's see what happens. If we do this call again, I'll be able to let you know. But going back to pre-sales mode, that we went out, we go to sit at the local Starbucks and pretend to drink we drink a cup of coffee. But as people are walking in, they see us with our coach and outfits, a coach and an SA sitting there talking about that workout, like maybe talking about the workout so that people can overhear and then say, did you know there's Orange Theory down the street? So something we've been doing as of late is going out to every spot that we can. the school lines. I don't know if you guys have school lines, but you know,
Yeah, we
where cars
do.
line up. All right, so where cars line up, we go walking, you know, while the parents are sitting there. And although you got to be careful going up to someone's car, we always go in twos. We never go alone. Just trying to engage with people and invite them in. It's a thought.
Allie, I'm gonna have you go just one sec. Something I thought of, just because we have the transformation challenge coming up in like 2-ish months, right? It'll kick off in January. Something that we did in the past that we found was successful with getting very quality leads is we called it a more life partner. You can call it whatever the heck you want, but this is what we called it. Where we would have in the month of December, so like almost a month prior to the transformation challenge starting, we would have like these little sheets of paper in the lobby that members would nominate people in their life. It could be a family member, a friend, a coworker, or something that they thought could really use Orange Theory. And then they would write like their story on there in a paragraph of like, oh my gosh, they've been inactive for so long. They would love this. And then we would then basically read through them and we would select one or maybe two that we would let do the transformation challenge and work out for free over that 6 weeks with their friend. So we'd basically be comping them a month and a half or whatever it was of X amount of sessions per week or whatever. We'd hook them up with a heart rate monitor, we'd do whatever. And then let's say we had 30 people get nominated because obviously it's like you can't pick everybody and just give away free membership. So we would pick the one, we would highlight them, whatever we felt like the story was the most moving, whatever. And then the other 29, we would give all of them a free week. And so they would still get something that was more significant than just a free class, but it would be a way to get them in to take like 3, 4 classes in a week to experience it. And then a lot of those we found would then convert after the week because they had a member nominate them based off of a need they felt they had of like they need to get in here, they need this community, they need whatever. And then 100% of the time, we've done this, I think the last 4 or 5 years, that person that was the more life partner, they convert into a membership after 100% of the time because they've been in there for 6 weeks. They've been doing the workouts. They're with their friend. And then we let them know at the end, you don't have to continue your membership if you don't want. There's no obligation. But every single time they're, where's the paper that I sign? I want to keep doing this. So if anyone wants to try to roll that into theirs, that worked really well for us. Allie, you want to go?
Oh, there we go. Our studio manager slash coach actually stole my thunder in the chat, but
Sorry.
it's okay. That's what I was gonna say is we recently did a bridal expo, and the way that this one worked, there was like a ton of like brides that came. So we get every single email of every bride that was there, in addition to whoever like came with them, correct, Paige? So it was like not just the bride. So we're getting tons of leads that way. And then another thing that we've done in the past is as a staff, it's like a monthly challenge where we're given a fishbowl and then we take that fishbowl out to somewhere in the community and then we get a perk or a dollar amount or whatever for whatever however many intros like we bring in from that fishbowl. So it can be there for a week, couple weeks or whatever. Obviously you have to get approval from wherever you're going to leave the fishbowl. But we've had a little bit of success with that as well. But the Bridal Expo was clutch.
Cool. Katie, you want to go?
Kind of going around that. I haven't actually done this for Orange Theory, but when I worked for a martial arts gym, one of the things we did is we got hooked up with a lot of the elementary schools. They do like their trunk or treats where you can actually go, you design your car, you have this fun event. You can give out like the free class cards or talk to the parents because a lot of the times the moms or the dads are there walking around with their kids. And it's just a really good way to get your name out there. You can do raffles and kind of going off of that, like, you know, finding maybe a little bit of some money to do a raffle where they put their name in and they come in for a class, they're entered in for a raffle based off like doing the trunk or treats. Or we've got, like, I know my kids' personal school, they have holiday bazaars. It's the same idea. You can go in and basically promote your gym, your studio. You can have it coached by staffs or, you know, essays, whatever's there, but it kind of gets your name out into the public, especially for, you know, if you're looking at it, do school ends, you got parents, you got moms that maybe their kids are in school finally, they want to get to a gym, maybe they want to try something else. It's just a great way to promote like your gym and your studio. for that option. But like I said, I haven't done it for Orange Theory. I did it for my previous job, and it actually ended up getting us a lot of leads and had some of the parents sign their children up for martial arts. So
Katie, we've done that for our studios where they have like these massive trunk or treats at like whether they be businesses or things, and it generates a ton of leads. And what we did was, do you know how you can get like marketing material wise, like those cheap canvas Orange Theory bags or like little drawstring ones that are fairly inexpensive? We would come with like 100 or 200 of those, and then because you'd be surprised at these freaking trunk or treat things, how many kids do not bring something to put their candy in? And so we give them
or
the Orange
bag
Theory
that
bag.
breaks.
First off, their parents are like insanely grateful. And then you have somebody who's walking around with your merch that like the whole time at the trunk or treat that's like Orange Theory bag gets held up in front of someone else, Orange Theory bag held up. Like before we knew it at the place, like I would say half the people had an Orange Theory bag because they were just like, oh, my one kid has one, but oh, my toddler would love one. And they'd be like, oh, are you sure we can have one? And it was just kind of a cool, here's a piece of marketing material. And then we just say like, oh, hey, put your name in a raffle for a free month or something, or like a free week or whatever. We'd have some kind of incentive for them to give us information. Um, but it was surprising how well it worked. Oh, Brandon, you want to go?
On the subject of leads and like trying to acquire members, is there anything that anyone does specifically to kind of differentiate themselves, like specifically from like the F45s and whatever boutique fitness companies are around y'all? And is there anything like along the lines of not necessarily pre-sales, but like anything that something that's worked to gain a lot of members in a given setting? Not like 100 members, but I mean, that'd be great. But anything specific in the sense of like that you guys have done maybe in the past that's worked that maybe corresponded to 10 new joins in one event or something like that. I don't know if there's anything specific that some of y'all may have done in the past.
Brendan, I think you're exactly right. I don't know who on here has done pre-sales.
I never have. Never have.
Get
My
back
studio,
out there.
yeah.
Like some of y'all never sweated in 105 Florida degree heat in a tent. All right. So the thing is, like, you got to go back to what got you there. Because again, we get lazy on the marketing. We want Orange Theory Fitness's marketing to bring people to us. That's fine. But what can we control as individuals, as coaches? If we want to change lives in the community, we got to be in the community. We got to be out there. So all the trunk or treats, the push for Prosecco, I'm warming up races, we're all the stuff wherever we can do. If there's a community event going on, I want to be there. Hashtag searching in your community. What local park are people checking in at? I want to be there at that park. I want to see who's walking by. What is the next best thing? Are people who's following that 45 page? I want to message them. Have you been? How do you like it? Come try about, yeah, come on over here. I'm coaching tomorrow. Look, it doesn't matter. But again, this is a tool right here that we're not utilizing as well. Influencers. Will it come to maybe 10 memberships? Probably not. But what it is going to be is exposure. If I can message somebody, you look like a great influencer in the community. Like, hey, would you mind just coming over and come on in a little bit earlier, take some pictures in the studio, have a great workout. And I would really appreciate it if you just post up a few pictures. That would be awesome. And give them a little gift bag on the way out. But again, that's something that they're going to post up. And if they can share it, that's a collaboration with your page. And how many more eyes on you did that just create? So that's, again, just something new in this marketing day and age. But get outside. We used to see rowers everywhere at all the events. Get those rowers in the back of a truck and take them out there. And you start challenging people, spinning the wheel, just having some fun. Pre-sales was the grind, but it taught you a lot of perseverance. It taught you to get a lot of no's. It taught you to get a lot of yeses. But think around that pre-sale mindset, what got you there, and then try to bring it back, because those tactics still do work and they're controlled by you, not someone else.
And like, I guess, Frank, that's a really good point, man. And I feel like here's the thing. Like we might feel like we're business is down, obviously. If you look at like, I know like for a while, who would always go back to be like, do you remember 2019, pre-2020, what those numbers were at, like the reminiscing in those like old days? But I feel like if you compare, like if you look at like how strong maybe your studio is relative to like what an F45 is pumping out, it's not even a it's not even a comparison. If we're complaining about our 400 member studio, 300 member studio, why don't you go take on their 105 member studio and like see how that might feel? It's like I know it doesn't make our situation better. I know we have to like we maybe have a lot more expensive overhead. We got big pieces of equipment, stuff like that. But like yes, the studios can be struggling. But I think too we got to give ourselves a little credit of we're fighting through it, and they still we still have room to grow. But there's a lot to be said with how much we've been able to, I feel like, almost maintain where we're at through a midst of, my gosh, all the other things that are like coming and going and doing their thing. So I feel like I don't know, the more we can have our teams see the long-term vision of like, yes, now this kind of sucks. Yes, lead volume is down. Yes, there's a lot of people coming in and canceling. But like, I don't know. I feel like if we can hold this out 2, 3 years down the road, maybe year down, maybe it'll be next year. I don't know. But I feel like there's a lot of positive things that are almost like on the other side of this like mountain we're trying to just like climb to like get out of this and to have our studios be more successful. And I feel like we're gonna probably, let's say in 2 years, we're all gonna hop back on a call and be like, yeah, do you remember that one call and we were talking about like how we were all like struggling? Oh yeah, now we're all at like 700 members, 800 members, whatever. I feel like there's gonna be eventually, and I think we're poising ourselves for it, some kind of turning point where we see a lot more growth ramping up. And right now we're just in this like I don't know if you guys feel this way. I feel like we are just battling to maintain. We're just like, oh my gosh, our freaking membership number has been plus or minus 3 members for the last like 2 years. And we're like, shoot, before we were like, all right, we're plus 30 this month. Now we're plus 10 this month. And now it's like, no, right, we're the same as last month. Oh, we're down 2 from the last month. Now we're up 1. It's pretty much, it feels like the same. And I think that's the battle we have to go through right now. I feel like extremely tough to stay positive in because it's like nothing's growing and the leads aren't coming in. And like Frank said, we got to freaking fight and battle for every single little person to like sign up or to come in here and like give us a chance to give them a workout. Um, so I think the more positive we can stay, I think it's going to make a big difference. And I think our teams, because I would say the majority of you guys, are you guys head coaches, managers, or are there a lot of like non-head coaches or whatever? I hate saying regular coach because you're like coaches. Um, but I feel like a lot of, even for the coaches, this would be everybody. You're a coach, you're a head coach, you're whatever, a leader in your studio. Whatever vibe you're putting out there, your team or the people around you are going to absorb that vibe and they're going to put it out too. If you're constantly like, this sucks, this is horrible, this is awful, the studio's not doing good. Yeah, the studio's probably not going to do good. But if there's some level of like, you're just putting out some positive energy, even though it's not a very positive situation, I think in time it's going to help the whole team's morale go up, and then there's going to be a shift and a turning point. Julie, you want to go?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what you guys think of this, but one of the things that they talked about at convention is this really big push to involve the medical community in providing those recommendations to come our way, and us really partnering and reaching out to our local ortho offices, hospitals, nurses, etc. In terms of, getting those prescription pads out there. And they really made a big deal of, it being a huge part of members' FSA accounts and HSA accounts that they can now pay Orange Theory dues for and purchasing their OT Beats through their employer. So now there's a tax break for people, and there's a way for them to pay for it pre-tax money if their employer offers them that service, for that to come our way. What do you, I mean, like, and we see a lot of people come in our studio, populations and stuff we talk about, but they are though, people that are using the healthcare advantage, etc. And I think that was one of the things that they're trying to go toward, is the medical piece. What do you guys think of stuff like that? Think it's going to help us?
Joe,
I
you
think,
can,
oh, go ahead.
or anyone go.
I mean, we've my business partner and I have talked about this a lot. I think, and I mean, I'm not a very PC person, so sorry if this offends anybody, but I think the switch to the FSA stuff where Orange Theory corporate is getting more of the kickback than the studio, because we've had all these people switch over to the healthcare advantage, and so we lose their membership and we're getting like $10 a visit. So we're not big fans of it. I did hear it. I think it's good because we're getting more exposure, but I think when you have members, current members that are then leaving to go do that, I mean, we're getting kind of stabbed in the back.
Okay, so it is happening to you guys too, because that's
Yeah.
kind of what we've seen, but then they're making this big push. So
Right.
I stay a little confused.
Yeah, I think it's good if we can get. I love the concept of the prescription pads and getting them into some doctors. I mean, we have a lot of members that are doctors and nurses, so why can't we be a reference for them? But I did hear that they paused that. I don't know if that's true, until they can try to figure out a better way to do this. But yeah,
Sure.
we're kind of getting the short end of the stick on a lot of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Joe, you want to go?
Yeah, kind of off topic. But I do think that I think using social media to kind of get out there also is a huge thing. We've seen an uptick in just interactions with current members sharing our stuff, as well as we've had a couple win backs because of FOMO, feeling like that we're getting back to the community focus of it all and that we're having a lot more fun. We've had members actually come in and join and saying that they have friends that go here that shared one of our stories and it seemed like a fun thing. So I think that using social media also to kind of like get out there, it's a free platform, obviously, to get out there on a different level, kind of meet people where they are, which is on their phones, is also something that I feel has been beneficial for us in our studios.
I think one of the main sort of takeaways from today, I think to kind of bring it all together as, studio representatives is like, we have to get the simple stuff right. And that starts from the intro process. So are we documenting things properly? Are you putting the goals, the coach prescription, the connection that you make? But it doesn't stop there. Are we continuing the conversation so that when, let's say, said SA comes in on a Friday, they know what's happened with Betty on Thursday because the appropriate contact log is being made? That all the information, the what's happening with the member, because like as a coach, yeah, I may be here 25 classes a week, but what about my part-time coach? So how are they getting the information about prescribing the workout different for somebody that might be going through an injury, or somebody that might be going through a divorce, or the member that came in and had a tough day? How are we as leaders communicating that with our staff to ensure that they're also sweating the small stuff, that it's not just on us as leaders? And I really think that if we can hone in on processes, the simple processes, it will sort of fall through with making sure that our members stay engaged. It's 120 days to keep somebody coming into Orange Theory. What are we doing in the first 120 days that member comes from an intro to their 120 day and potentially 25, 30, 50 class celebration? Have we sweated the small stuff with that person? Because if we haven't, then we are going to see that cancellation after 30 days. And sometimes we forget about the easy stuff in the process, a simple check-in to the quiet member, a simple high five to somebody who might, sort of avoid our eye contact in the lobby. Are we going up to them and having those one-on-one conversations? So just kind of a little bit of a takeaway. Sorry, kind of rambling a bit, but I just think everything that you guys are saying is great. And I would love to do this weekly. I am a studio owner and I am a head coach, and I have been doing this for 10 years. That sometimes, even though I have supports in my area, you do feel so alone and isolated when things aren't going well. So I would love to see this more, but thank you, David. I appreciate you taking the initiative in doing this and taking time out of your day for doing this. I appreciate you guys.
I think too, this kind of just go, and we'll end it here. It goes to show that like the fact that you guys are all willing to hop on a call for an hour outside of what you would normally do, because I guarantee you guys are all really busy, right? You guys probably have a lot of stuff going on in your personal lives, at your studios, whatever it is, that you're willing to sacrifice an hour to just talk about stuff that's going on and try to think of some good ideas and stuff. Maybe just think of any other things that you might want to have like topic wise or whatever, and then I'll put out maybe next week or something another time slot in a couple weeks that we can jump on another call if you guys are cool with that, and then we can just go with that and see how it goes. I don't know. Does that sound good? But yeah, stay connected on Facebook group, Instagram, whatever. Like I think it's nice when we can like talk to each other, whether it be from like afar or face to face kind of on here. Um, it does like as much as it sucks, it's nice to know that like maybe we're not the only ones that are like suffering on something, that it's like, okay, if I had some members cancel, their studio did too. So it's not just like us. There's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, just stay positive and we'll talk again in a couple weeks. Sound good?